Hello everybody. This video is going to be about Pesach. I had some subscribers that wrote to us that they want to know what is Pesach all about. Pesach is such a big Jewish holiday and it has so many secrets that it's just impossible to teach or learn about it in less than like 8 hours or more. But I will do my best, and I want to start with telling you guys that one of the main purposes that we made this channel is because there are lost tribes of Israel all over the world. A lot of people that are not even aware that they're actually Jewish, that are actually a part of Judea, the part of the other tribes that were all part of Israel. So when I'm making these videos is because it's very crucial for me that the information will be there, the right information, so that you will know the proper way to perform the ceremonies, to perform the merits, the mitzvot of Judaism. And because there's a lot of false information, and I want you to know what is Judaism and what are the secrets, what are the basic halachot, the Jewish law and the mitzvot, and that you can learn about it properly. And then if you feel that you are a part of the Israelites, you feel it in your soul, then you'll find the proper ways to come back home. And with that, I'm going to move to Pesach. So Pesach in the Torah is considered the first month. And this holiday is directly from the Torah. The commands about this holiday is from the Torah. And what is happening in the universe during that time of Pesach is that the same energy that was revealed in the time of the 10 plagues, the story of Exodus, just reappear again every year exactly on that time. Now when we're saying at that time, we're talking about the Jewish calendar. The Jewish calendar goes by the sun and the moon. Other calendars, some goes by the sun, some goes by the moon. The Jewish calendar go by both. And that's why there's a Jewish calendar. You can check online and see, and that's why the days, they fall in the same time more or less, but not exactly on the same day. This year we're in a leap year. Leap year happens once in 4 years. You should encourage you to check the exact dates. And it's like a gate in time that is, this pure energy comes from another dimension and it just comes into this world, and you need to know how to plug in, because if not, it's just gonna pass over you. So what is this energy that we're talking about? The story of Exodus in the Torah, when it happened, it was not only a story about what happened to the Israelites a long time ago. It was actually how a nation that was so beautiful and strong and free became slaves. In Egypt, they used to connect to black magic, and they did it through connecting and praying to black demons. They called them their gods. The main god was Ra. In Hebrew, Ra is evil. And he had a head of a ram, like a big sheep, and a body of a human. And those negative spirits helped them to control people by the power of their mind. Means that they enslaved so many people, but they didn't really have a big army. It was more because people thought that they're lost. People thought that they disconnected from God, that they are slaves. It's a mentality. To be a slave, it's a mentality. Today, Egypt doesn't exist, but it does, right? Because so many people are slaves for their money, slaves to what other people think about me, slaves to my fear, and so on and so on. So this holiday gives us the opportunity to break out of our own Egypt. Everyone has their own Egypt. And during this month, the night of Pesach, the first night of Pesach, is like another Rosh Hashanah, but this Rosh Hashanah is for the wars in the world. And we want to make sure that the world will have a good, successful, happy year. So there are preparations for Pesach that we start sometimes a month before already. And I'm not going to go and review everything right now unless one of you subscribers will ask me to, and then I will. But bottom line, what we call, in other areas in the world, spring cleaning. So this cleaning for Jewish people is not just cleaning the dust and everything. The cleaning is a very special cleaning. And what we clean before Pesach is what we called Chametz. Chametz is everything that is made from the 5 grains, which is wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt. Every cookie, every crumbs, every cereal that maybe our kids ate in the next room and there's a little piece, we have to look for it and we have to clean it. Things that you don't think about, like Play-Doh. Kids have Play-Doh, and it contains wheat. We have to take it out of the rooms. We put it in special boxes. The kitchen is the hardest. We have to really clean because this is like a surgery. This strong light is coming in, and we have to make sure that we sanitized everything. So we clean everything that was open before. Let's say we have a soy sauce. So there's something called kitniyot. Some people, not eating the 5 grains, and then of course bread, cookies are not acceptable in Pesach. Also, you don't eat the kitniyot, which is different types of beans, lentils, chickpeas, corn, peanuts, sesame, and so on. Green bean, because if you can't eat beans, you don't eat rice. You don't. It depends on different areas in the world. Some do, but I don't. So I'm going by what I keep and teach. And you go and look all over the house, and whatever is like open. Let's say you had a bag of pasta, you had just a third. You throw it away as a preparation for Pesach, and you clean everything. And right before Pesach, let's say a few days before, everything needs to be ready. Your oven, your refrigerator, your table that you're going to eat on. You put 2 layers to cover it after you clean it. Your sink has to be kosherized, and we do it with fire, special torch that you really clean it massively. And it's a whole process. Again, if you guys want me to teach that, I will. Just let me know. And just so you know, when you clean your house, you need to have special utensils and dishes just for Pesach. You cannot clean completely your plates or your plastic and glass. They will not be, even if they're kosher, they will not be kosher for Pesach because you cooked things that had chametz in it. So the best is to have a box that you can keep in your garage or somewhere in your house that you don't open the whole year, and it has pots and pans and forks and knives and whatever you need to serve your big meal for Leil Seder or the rest of the meals for Pesach, for the holiday, and throughout the week. And it's easier during this week to use a lot of plastic or paper plates, paper cups, and so on. So you don't have to, to buy so much for Pesach if you don't want to. And so just buy the essential, like let's say, 1 or 2 pots, whether if you eat meat, so you take some for meat. If you don't, you just have some for milk or parv, which is not milk and not milk. And if you're vegetarian, you just need the ones for milk or parv. It can be one set of, let's say, 2-3 pots, one pan for omelets and stuff. That will be the easiest way. You don't have to get crazy with it, but just have enough. You can always buy aluminum foil and aluminum pans that you can use, and just disposable things that you can just use and throw. Now, it's very important to put it in a place that was already cleaned for Pesach. You don't take it out. And remember, even when you clean, the floor is always chametz. So if something fell on the floor, let's say you dropped your piece of matzah, you cannot eat it. It's chametz now, because you cannot really clean the floor completely, even if you try your best. There's always going to be someone from outside coming into your home and stepping on something outside and bringing it home. So if you have something from Pesach, let's say you had a fork that you kosherized for Pesach, or you have it new for Pesach, and it fell on the floor, then you put it in a box on the side. By next year, it will be again kosher for Pesach, but for this Pesach that you are celebrating, it's not kosher anymore to use, so you just put it on the side. Make sure, try your best not to drop things. That's why we use a lot of disposable utensils, so it's not a big deal. If you have a paper cup falling on the floor, you can throw it and get a new one. Now, before the night of the Seder, after we cleaned our house, there are 3 different rituals that we have to perform. The first one is the bdikat chametz, checking for chametz, that you go around the house and you walk with a candle, with a big feather and a spoon, and you have to look for 10 pieces of chametz. Of course, you seal it with a Ziploc so you don't make your house dirty again. Before on the night before, on the 14th of Nisan, on the night before the Leil Seder, you look for chametz. It's a very symbolic thing, but you're actually looking also for chametz in your house, even though you cleaned everything as much as you could and you sealed all the chametz in boxes or threw it away. And then in the morning, early morning, usually it's by 9:30 in the morning, it's done. You go and you burn the chametz. You take it out of the Ziploc and you have to throw it into fire. Everything in this month is like fighting fire with fire. So you have to say a special blessing that you say before you burn the chametz, and then you throw it. And it's very good, like when you throw it, say, I'm throwing my anger, I'm throwing my pride, I'm throwing my jealousy, and so on. So you're kind of like cleansing your negative energies. And the other process that you have to do in Pesach is whatever chametz you did choose to keep in your house, that chametz has to be completely sealed. And then there is a special form, you can do it even online through Chabad, different organizations, different synagogues, they do it for you. It's called mechirat chametz. It's selling the chametz. So you sell it to someone until the end of the holiday, and then after the holiday you can open it again. It stays in your home, but the spiritual process is happening. It's not yours for those 7 days. But I'm going now to, again, what do we do in Pesach itself? So Pesach is 7 days, but in the beginning of Pesach, we have a holiday that is similar to how we observe Shabbat, and on the end of Pesach, we have a similar way of observing, that we don't drive, we don't work, and different things that we don't do on Shabbat. In the middle, we have what is called Chol HaMoed, means it's still the holiday, but we can work, we can talk on the phone, and we can do other things. The first night is the most important night. It's called in Hebrew Leil HaSeder. Leil HaSeder, the night of order. What are we ordering? What are we doing? We're making an order in the universe. We want to make sure that it's going to be a good year, and we want to make sure that we go out of our Egypt and release ourselves from any negativity that is holding us back in our life. This is very powerful, guys. This is very, very crucial and powerful. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people, Israelis, Jewish people, that are secular and they don't know all the explanations, and it's just so powerful. Not everyone is observing it, not everyone knows all the secret, but I will tell you some of it now. So in order to make an order, we need to understand what's going on that night. So if we have the 10 plagues, right? Blood, frogs, and so on. What happens on the night of order, which is always the 15th of the Jewish month of Nisan. On the 15th, at the nighttime, this is the night that the plague of the firstborns happened. So on that night at 12 o'clock, the angel of death is going around. We want to protect ourselves from the power of death. And death in our life is not just, God forbid, death. It can be death in a relationship. It can be death in our money. We just keeps repeating again and again, similar situation that we just can't get what we really need, and so on and so on. So death, chas v'shalom, God forbid, people that get sick, it's like death came in. We want to stop it, we want to close it. And this is what we can do. We have the opportunity to do it in Pesach. So the Seder starts before. And what we do after we cleaned everything, and we buy only kosher food for Passover, only. If it's just regular food, even water has to be sealed in the mineral water container, like for what you want to drink on the table. Wine has to be kosher for Passover. You have to get a matzah. The biggest mitzvah, the obligation of Pesach, is that you should tell the story of Passover, or getting out of Egypt, the Exodus, and that you eat a matzah. Now, what is a matzah? A matzah is a special kind of bread that didn't rise. It doesn't have yeast, and they didn't let it rise, because bread rise like our ego. Me. We want to shrink it. We want to have a cure to our ego, because in order for a good energy to come in, we need to make some room. How can we make room if we're so full of ourselves, right? So the matzah on Pesach night, on the night of order, gives us a medication against our negative ego and opening us to receive love and light. So the matzah is made from flour and water, that's it. And it has to be in a special place that they clean it in to the level of sterile. And they check exactly 18 minutes from the beginning of where they pour the flour and the water all the way to getting it out of the oven. It has to be exactly 18 minutes. 18 is a very special spiritual number. We're not going to go into all that. But if it's not 18 minutes, if it's 19, it's already not kosher for Pesach. That's how, this is like a spiritual technology. So it has to be very, very accurate. So what's happening on the table is that everything on that table on that night is a spiritual technology. Because again, we, the Israelites, we, the Jewish people, we chose to serve. When we don't do our job, we cannot bring enough light to the world. That's what we came to do. We have to wake up and do it. Look at our world. We need it. So on the table, we have a special plate that is called the Seder plate. And on that Seder plate, we have symbols. And each symbol creates different energy. And all together, they create the tree of life. The tree of life is a metaphysical form of the way that the light is traveling into our world. Now, we said that the biggest mitzvah is to retell the story of Exodus, of going out of Egypt, and eating the matzah. But during the whole 7 days of Pesach, you're not allowed to eat bread or anything that is made out of bread, regular cookies, ice cream, nothing that is not saying kosher for Passover. You cannot eat it. And the matzah gives us a remedy against those energies. It's very powerful. It's what the Jewish people ate when they were coming out of Egypt. But any other day of the year, you can eat a matzah, but it's not going to connect you in the same way as it does in those special 7 days. Same for the food that is on the plate. So you have on the upper, in the plate, you have on the upper right side, you have the zroa. Zroa is like the shank bone. It has a special piece from the leg of the lamb. The god of the lamb was, the god of Egypt was a lamb. And what they did, the Jewish people slaughtered the lamb and they destroyed their power. So you put on that side a leg of a lamb, and that is to create power of mercy and love into the world. On the left upper side, you put an egg. An egg is, usually you cook food that becomes soft and softer. Egg is the only food that as much as you cook it, it becomes harder. So it's a symbol for stubbornness. This is what you want to destroy. You want to make sure that your stubbornness is going to go to the right direction, not to the negative. So you'll be stubbornness to receive light and to send light to people, and not stubbornness on negative things. In the middle, you have the maror, horseradish. Very, very spicy and bitter. So there are levels of learning. So in the simple level, maror is from the word mar, bitter in Hebrew. So they made our life so bitter and bad, but it's the source of death on that plate on that night. And you have to eat it and don't swallow. You chew it and chew it and chew it. And you see people crying sometimes until it becomes not spicy anymore, until your saliva is making it sweet. Then on the lower right side, you have what is called charoset. Charoset is a mixture of different fruits and roots that represent, again, on the simple level, the mud that they were working in and their hard work, and you're actually turning it into something good, like you make sweet out of suffering. But it's also a symbol of life, power of life that you get when you're giving and sharing. On the left side, on the lower left side, you have karpas. Karpas is an old Aramaic name for parsley. And the parsley represents the power of judgments, and you dip it in salt water before you eat it, so you kind of sweeten the judgments. And the lowest middle, in the lowest part of the plate in the middle, you put the chazeret, which is lettuce, and it's also the power of balance. Now this, with the plate itself, create 7, because you have the 6 plates, little plates or bowls on the plate, and the plate itself is the 7. The plate itself is our world. It's what we put on the table. And then this is all giving 7, and then we use exactly 3 matzot for that ceremony. So 3 plus 7 gives you the 10 spheres of the tree of life. This is all beautiful technology that we use to break out of our own Egypt and to be free, and to help the world to be free, and to send love to our loved ones and to the whole world. There are 15 stages during the Seder itself that we have to do in order to make the whole kosher Seder. The 15 stages are Kadesh, which is the Kiddush. We have 4 cups of wine. This is the first one. We have Uruchat, the head of the table only washes their hands, wash his hands. Karpas, we dip the parsley in the water, we bless Adama, and we eat. Yachatz, we break the middle matzah into 2. One of them we put back, one is going to be the afikoman, which is the hidden piece that we are going to look for later. Magid is when we pray and say and read the Haggadah, which is the holy book that we read from during Pesach. It has some psalms inside, it has different parts that are telling the story of Exodus and so on. Haggadah. And the next one is Rachatza, that everyone that participates on the table do the washing of the hands, which is a special way of washing our hands. I have it in another video if you need it. It's called Netilat Yadayim. And then we have Motzi, which we do the same blessing as over bread, but we do it on a matzah. And then we say a special blessing on eating a matzah, which is the next stage, and it's called matzah. We have maror, eating the maror, the bitter herb. Korech is when we make a kind of a sandwich that we put the maror, then we put a little bit of the sweet charoset, we put a lettuce, and on top of that we put a matzah. And we just eat it like a sandwich. And then we go and eat the beautiful meal that we cooked for Pesach. It's a challenge to cook things that, have no wheat, no rice, but you eat a lot of vegetables on that holiday, fish and so on. And after that you do tzafun, which is finding the afikoman. You usually send the kids to find the afikoman. It's a fun thing for them. They get a reward when they find it. Then everyone take a piece of that afikoman, the piece of the matzah, and everyone has to eat that piece. And it's preferably that you also eat a whole matzah with it also, because again, the matzah is the medication that we need. It's a medicine for getting as much energy to plug in to as many lights that we can get on that holiday. After that, we do barech, which is the grace after meal, the blessing of Birkat Hamazon. And after that, Hallel, which is the recitation of Hallel, psalms of prayers, of praise. And the end is Nirtza, our prayers that God accepts our service. And we say next year in Jerusalem. Remember, on the first 2 days, you're not allowed to work, talk on the cell, watch TV, nothing. On the last 2 days, the same. In the middle days of the 7 days, you can do all that, but just don't eat bread and anything that is connected to it. Just go to, to kosher sections and get kosher things. You can eat fruits, vegetables, they're kosher, and so on. I wish you a happy and kosher and meaningful Pesach. Take care.